I didn't really want to tell this story, but I know it'd be a really good video, so I kind of was on the fence. Right now, as I'm making this video, even at this current moment as I'm talking, I'm regretting it, but I know later in time I will appreciate just looking at this. Maybe I'll laugh. The only reason I even remember this story, honestly, is because I watched this TV show about like embarrassing moments or some shit like that, and like it had a segment that was similar to my situation, and I just remembered everything. This is something I put in the farthest corner of my fucking memory, and just for it to come back as it did, it hurt me vastly. You would think after you hear it, I would never forget this, but I tried hard to forget this. So I don't know what you guys did on your spring breaks and summer vacations, but for me, I always went to the YMCA. Now, when I was there, I had like a squad, you know what I'm saying? My summer, spring break homies. That's what I like to call them, because I only saw them when I went to the YMCA. All we did was play Super Smash Bros. Melee and Naruto Ultimate Ninja 3. Those were actually the fucking best days of my childhood. I remember there's one particular detail that I always take with me when I play with squad on Smash Bros. There was a map called the Temple, right? And every time we had a beef with each other, we took it to the Temple. Homie stepped on your French kicks, take it to the Temple. Now, for the most part, all the dudes in the YMCA hung out with themselves, which was me and the squad. And all the girls did their thing. They played pool, they watched TV, and they played card games and shit. I don't know. Guys did their guy thing and the girls did the girl thing, right? So on the year in between my 7th and 8th grade transition, I just graduated 7th grade going to the 8th grade. This year in particular, my boy named Richard. Richard was his name, and being a betrayer was his game. Richard was the virus. Now we're gonna get to that. One day we're playing Smash, he lost, right? He got salty because we took it to the Temple and he was talking that good shit, and he got his shit slapped, right? And Richard wasn't feeling himself. Richard was upset. He went to go to the table to play a card game by himself like a fucking loner, right? We all laughed at Richard until a girl came and sat next to Richard. Then the game changed. What is Richard doing with the enemy? Everybody else is kind of looking like, oh my gosh, he's talking to a girl? What are they saying? Can he teach me how to do it? Because they were weird. Like, I never had a problem talking to girls at all at that time even. But the thing was, like, when I came there, it was not to talk to girls. It was to play with my friends that I don't get to see outside of this YMCA event. I'm thinking Richard's gonna be himself the next day. He's gonna come with us and play, no problems. Next day, Richard brings the fucking girl to the squad to play Smash. And I'm looking at Richard like, what are you doing? He's like, hey, could so-and-so play Smash with us? In my mind, I'm like, hell no, what? She better not touch my controller. But what actually happened is she ended up playing, because we're not actually assholes. I wanted to say that, but the right thing to do was to be like, yeah, sure, you could play. Now, I made sure that I did not fucking lose so I could play that girl and beat her ass so she would never come back. Pick Captain Falcon, and she picked like Jigglypuff because she thought it was so kawaii. I Falcon punched the shit out that bitch. I beat her ass. Richard asked me, can you tone it down a little bit, bro? She doesn't know how to play. I'm like, okay, I'll tone it down. Then I picked Ganondorf and did the same shit. She like did this fucking snicker at me. She was like, and got up and left. I'm like, hello? Like, are you getting salty, bitch? Don't come back either! And Richard went to go play a game with her over to the side. I'm just like, okay, Richard, well, you know what? You go get that puh and be a little bitch. We went to a field trip that day. We went to like a big ass park, and then it was over. So the next day was a big day because we were supposed to go to Universal Studios, and I was hyped. So, you know, I decided to like bring some of my games to the PS2, thinking me and the squad can play before we go tomorrow. And then this is when the betrayal fucking happens. So normally when I show up to the YMCA, I'm kind of early. Like, you know, I could set up the games, I come through, and everybody else kind of falls in place. But this time I was late because I slept in a little bit. I was so confused by this. I was baffled. Like, I walked in and I didn't move. I get in there, every dude is with some group of girls. They betrayed me and talked to all of the girls at like once. I'm like, what the fuck happened? I wasn't even late for like more than 10 minutes. And y'all BFFs? I was upset. I felt the purest fucking betrayal that day. Like, that day, I knew there was no going back. Don't leave me for the pub. So I'm thinking to myself, well, fuck, I'm not going to go be a follower and hang out with one of the groups of girls because I really genuinely just want to play with my homies. I played Naruto Ultimate Ninja 3 story mode by myself, hoping that the squad will come and play with me, and they didn't fucking come, bruh. I was sitting there. So this is what happened that I didn't know. Behind my back, amongst my knowledge at the time, I found out about this after because Richard told me, but Richard try to be a wingman for me. Now, for those of you guys who don't know what a wingman is, it's pretty much someone who helps you try to get the girl. Like, they're trying to help you get that rebound so you can get that puck. Keep in mind, at the YMCA, amongst all the girls, there was one girl in particular that was fucking cute. I would say if I were to rate her 1 out of 10, she was a 10. She was a definite 10, really beautiful. Like, I knew she was attractive, but because I was so focused on my friends, like, that didn't mean anything to me, you know what I'm saying? Richard was being a wingman amongst my knowledge and telling her all this stuff like,
yo, he likes you too, he thinks you're really cute. Yeah, he wanted to get your number, but he was shy.
You know, all this lying shit, right? Because he told me everything he said to her, everything he said. I don't know what he really said, but this is just what he told me. And I guess she was feeling what he was telling her. I hear a voice behind me.
How did you punch that guy you're fighting?
I look over my shoulder, not enough to see her. I'm like, oh, I just pressed circle. She does the most seductive shit I've never experienced as a kid. She wrapped her arms around the chair to hold my hands as I'm holding the controller playing the game. And she says,
which button was it?
Immediately, I get the massive-ist Bobo in 20 whatever year that was. I'm just sitting here like, what's happening? Immediately when she touched me, everything around me turned to a white ass room. I saw fucking flowers from the ground, bruh, butterflies, Bobo all over the place. I was stuttering. I was like, up, circle. And she was like,
which one circle?
Picture this as hard as you can, because I only have 2 hands. I can't do like with 4, right? This is my hand, right? And her hands were on my hand. I grabbed her thumb like this one. So I knew it was to the point where, like, if I stand up, people would see Jimmy's fucking problems. So I decided, I'm like, okay, well, you know what? This is nice and all, but I gotta go to the bathroom and fix myself because I'm not about to take the walk of shame to the bus with Jimmy chilling like this. I gotta go. So I was telling her like, hey, well, you can do it real quick, try to figure it out, and I'll be back. I gotta go with the fucking bathroom. So all I did was kind of like, you know, tuck Jimmy to the right. I'm just like, okay, you know, jump it off, you know what I'm saying? And went back in there. So I went back in there. She was immediately staring at me. Jimmy just got fucked up all over again. Boom! I'm like, Jimmy, come on, bro. I just fixed you. Holy shit. I can't sit back down and play the game because she's gonna fucking seduce me, and I can't go to my trader's friends. So I just, you know, did the most bitch move, and I sat in the chair and just chilled. I pretended like I had a phone. It wasn't a phone. It was a Firefly. If you don't know what a Firefly is, you only call your mom and dad. So I pretended like that shit had games on it until the proctor said it's time to go. So I sat there for like a good 5 minutes acting like I was doing some shit when I really wasn't, until the proctor thankfully said, okay, everybody, let's get ready to go on the bus to get ready to go to the field trip. And I'm like, yes! By the way, the girl's name is Stephanie. Her real name is Stephanie. I don't know if she ever watches this. If you watch this, I am sorry. You guys don't know why I'm sorry yet, but she knows if she's watching, and I apologize. Please, I am so sorry. So I went on the bus and I went to go sit down with Richard, because me and Richard, even though Richard betrayed me, that was my bus buddy. So Richard apparently had a fucking girlfriend in like a day and said,
hey bro, could you move so my girlfriend can sit here?
Then this is when he told me what he told Stephanie. So immediately after he told me,
I told Stephanie this and that,
I had 2 options that I saw. I could either A, go sit with Stephanie, because now that I know he set that up for me, I'm like, okay, thank you, but I don't want that, but you know what, hey, you did that for me as a homie, so why not? But I really was leaning towards B, sit by myself and, you know, be on my lonesome, because Richard rejected me. I didn't really want to be with a girl. I didn't want to do with anything else besides chill with my homies, so I was feeling a little bit salty. I saw Stephanie sitting over by herself, and she was looking at me, signaling me to go over to her. I'm not no bitch. I got up and went over there because I knew she wanted to do it. So on the whole entire time I'm there with her, I'm just talking, like, you know, just chilling, just talking about like school and stuff. I don't really know what we're saying, but I knew I was keeping conversation. That's what mattered. At the time, in hindsight, I knew I did not give 2 shits about being in a relationship. I didn't care about kissing her, holding her hand. I just cared about bringing my homies together. And I believe that this was the key to bringing everybody back together. You know, just showing them that I can be like them, I guess, whatever you will. Anyway, Stephanie asked if she could fall asleep on my shoulder. So she lays on my shoulder, rubbing my thigh. I'm just looking at her like, are you really sleeping? I was creeped out by this at the time, because I'm a boy, low-key. Then she grabbed Jimmy. I'm like, what are you doing? I literally moved somewhat like that on the bus. After that, she actually ended up going to sleep. I didn't really know if she was asleep, but that doesn't really matter because she was not bothering me, and that's all that I liked. So we ended up getting to Universal Studios eventually. So we got there, and she asked me if she can stay with me the whole entire time. And I said, sure. Can we stay with Richard? She said,
I guess, but I kind of want to just make it me and you.
At the time, I'm thinking, I guess. Hindsight, I wish I was like, yes, girl! You beautiful as shit. And you got a booty at that age? Anyways, we went to a haunted house. We saw a good ass view. So then we went on The Mummy. I think it's The Mummy. No, we went on Jurassic Park. That's the start. This is when shit started to get a little bit freaky and Jimmy started to get a little bit broken. She was talking about how scared she was of drops. And I'm thinking to myself, why the fuck did you say let's go on this? So what she then did, she held my arm, and when we were going up, she started feeling me hard by in the leg again. There's people around me. I can't freak out like that again. I'm in a small ass space. When we dropped, like she grabbed Jimmy hard as fuck. It didn't hurt, but like it was just a detail that you just need to know, all right? Then she wants to go into the Mummy ride. She said, I didn't know what that fucking word meant at the time, right? She told me that she was horny, but I just said, oh yeah, me too. Cause at the time I was one of those people that didn't like want to say I didn't know something. I would rather lie and be like, oh yeah, I know that, until they asked me like, what is that? I don't know shit. So we went on the Mummy ride. And when the thing was feeling on my leg, skirt! And when I say the things felt on my leg, I forgot to mention this earlier. I don't know how I did. It feels like little things are feeling your leg, like touching it, tickling it. I don't know how to describe it, right? And when that happened, she tried to be slick and she went in my pants. She was shaking hands with Jimmy. I'm sitting here like, hello! Help me! I wasn't mad enough to tell her to stop. I didn't know what to do. All I knew is Jimmy was liking what she was doing. Felt like that ride lasted forever. I don't know what the fuck she was doing, but that hand was on vibrate. I'm just like, stop it! You're hurting me, kind of, really. What is happening down there? What ended up happening, because she was doing that, you would think, because she did that, you know, Jimmy would do something, right? But it said, it upset my stomach. What happened was the ride stopped at the park, right? Like there's more than one roller coaster there. So we get to the rest of the roller coasters and it takes a while for us to get to the place where we can get off the ride. So when we were there, it got quiet. All the screaming and shit from the ride stopped. And my stomach was getting mad upset when she was doing that. Like I had a knot in my stomach out of fear, and at the same time, like it was good, but I was uncomfortable. She was violating my space. I fucking farted so loud. Bro, like, she stopped moving. Everybody looked at me and like I'm just sitting there like, it smelled, bro. It had a smell, bro. And she was still stuck with her hand in there staring at me with her jaw dropped, bro. While everybody, like, at this point, people stopped looking at me from the front and back, but she would not stop looking at me with her hand in there, and I'm just like, I was so scared. I didn't know what to do. I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, I wanted to cry because I was so embarrassed. And what happened was, the minute we got out, she was gone. She was gone. She left. I didn't even see her leave, bro. She just like flash stepped. She left early. She left the park early. The next day, I find out that because when you pay for the YMCA there, you pay for like a whole week at a time, right? She canceled her week there at the YMCA. And the next day, I also canceled. Never went back to the YMCA. Ever, actually. I never saw any of them again.